Good morning, everybody. It's Marty the JavaScript Party and my buddy Rhett. And we are working on finishing up the final touches on my voice analyzer. I think it's called Voice API Analyzer project. Basically, the whole purpose of the project was just to get like a deeper understanding of the features of the voice API, and only one half of the voice API, and that's the listening part of the voice API. So basically, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago, something probably like 5 years ago, maybe longer. Uh, they there's an organization. I think they're called the WC3 or something like that, and they kind of define what the browser can do. Like what they write specifications, and they wrote a specification that describes um, voice interactions between the browser and human. And there's two. It kind of divides up into two sections, and one section is like audio. So like it will tell you, like if you wanted it instead of to have to read or whatever, if you want to say some words or something, um, there's that half of it, and then there's another half of it which is the request. It's listening. Um, and so what we learned over time was that, well, so anyways, I did create another version of this application that only took like a month or something, maybe a couple months. I think it was maybe 13 videos, two on each weekend. Um, so it took a couple months to really get in touch with the API itself, like to understand the API. But understand the API and understand the features are just two different things. And that was kind of one thing I learned as part of this project. And understanding the features is really the point of this application. And so basically this is just an application to understand the features. The problem is, and what I thought was going to be the main problem was like, oh, over time, if these properties change, like it could break my application. But I think there's a much deeper problem that you have to sort of wrestle with, and that's that the API functionality is very different than anything I had ever worked with before. I've never really worked with anything that wasn't like if you were interacting with the cloud or with a third party of some way, it was very obvious to the programmer that you were interacting. The programmer could sit there and write code and be like, okay, now use jQuery, use this third party, use whatever, like, and you would code that, but now that's abstracted away. What happens is you make a request, and then the browser behind the scenes decides that it's going to connect to a third party that's outside of your code base and do whatever it's going to do. That is a very, very big difference than anything else that I work with. So the problem is like I I'm inadvertently opening somebody's privacy up to a third party that they're not aware of. And so I felt like, okay, I have to put a warning. Um, I don't know how this all plays out. Over time, especially from a legal perspective. So I worry a little bit that if I don't at least make some sort of effort to let people know, hey, by the way, if I know that, by the way, your information is being shared, and the people that are, I have no control or any idea what the people that are getting that information are doing with it. If I don't give some sort of warning of that, I mean, that's just like, um, not appropriate. So, anyways, I stumbled across that, understanding that. And the main reason I stumbled across that was two things happened. One is I found out that I couldn't work offline with this project. So, like, if I'm not connected to the internet, I can't do this. Hello, that won't work. It just won't. Now, there's a new flag that showed up that allows for you to say only process it locally, and this showed up maybe 2 months ago, just out of the blue. But the it doesn't. The last time I checked, if you set it, your application won't work at all. I mean, we could. One nice feature of this is you could actually set that. So I just set it. Um, Hello. As you see, like the little microphone shows up in the. Let's see. Oh no, it doesn't do anything now. if process locally is set, I don't think it even gives. Let me hit F12 and see if it even gives a console error. Yeah, so this is about more. This is caused because when I click this, um, what happened the very first time, there's a fraction of a second, or here's what I believe: there's just a fraction of a second where this does not exist, but the underlying, see, there's like another div here that prevents you from being able to interact with that. Um, and when I click this, that that exists, I think, before this exists, so there's no place for the focus to be. But right after this comes to into existence, um, I actually set the focus there. So there's just this fraction of a second where this is not working. Um, oh, so this is an Angular 19. Angular 21, I believe, is supposed to, is it October 29th? I think I read that was the official launch day of Angular 21. Um, but anyways, this project will, there's no reason to upgrade it. I don't plan to maintain it after. I just want it to be able to test things. But anyways, so what happens though if without this, what's happening is there's a call that goes to Google and the Google Cloud, and then the Google Cloud analyzes this voice. Hello, and then it returns these values. Um, and they decide what they return. There's no control. And if you use Edge, you'll get um, the like Azure cloud. But anyways, it's not obvious. If you look through the code, there's no launch to Google Cloud function. There's nothing like that, right? It just does it behind the scenes. And so as a developer, I'm sort of enabling that. And at first, I definitely did not understand that that was the case. But oh, and the reason it became very clear to me is because when I used Edge, I got completely different results back. So it was like, oh wait, okay, so something's happening. But anyways, anytime you use this, you're sharing your data with Google. I was like, okay, I have to put a warning. It's totally inappropriate not to put a warning. So here's my warning. This is a warning. Right. So yesterday, the whole focus was to get this working. Um, so today, I kind of want to make this a quick video. So I'm going to, it's what could go wrong is where we've captured this. And we want these two links and basically this text. So this is basically telling them, hey, this is used by Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. And if it was something else, it'd be something else. And I don't know, like I'm not a lawyer. My son's a lawyer, but he's not in this he doesn't do this kind of thing. But my feeling is that like this is probably going to be good enough. Um, and main reason it's probably good enough is because um, the like the target audience of this is developers. Right. So I don't, there may be, it is, I get, it's not inconceivable that someone as for fun, like anytime I've ever shown this code to anybody, or this application to anybody, they have had a good time playing around with, words, like I think a lot of people have like a bunch of pent up questions about pronunciation of words and stuff like that. So they'll play around with it and say different words and see what comes up and stuff like that. Um, and then one of the nice things about this application is that when you can try different languages and stuff like that, so it could be a lot of fun to play around with. But it's really aimed at developers, and I cannot imagine anyone just using this just for the hell of it. I believe it's in. I can't remember where this text is. Helpful links. Let's go find it. It's basically I just want to copy this whole thing and put it in its own parentheses. So I'm searching on the word helpful links. This may or may not work for you in your in wherever you work because I'm just gonna copy this whole thing. Because a lot of times you don't find just naked text like this in websites. You find like codes to JSONs that then have words, and then these words may be appended together in multiple JSON. So sometimes finding words like I just did doesn't quite work. Um, see what we get with that. I don't even know. We're definitely gonna have to do some more styling. Um, okay, so that's not bad. I mean, that is not bad at all. And then warning. So I think it should be like a data sharing warning. Uh, data, personal data alert. There we go. Personal data alert. Okay. So I like that. I think the text is a bit long, and I don't know if I need this. Well, I probably do. That probably keeps it up there. So we probably want this whole thing inside of a um, paragraph, and I don't know if you can do that. So actually, I probably don't want the whole thing in a paragraph. I probably want the whole thing in a div. And there's like this thing called semantic HTML. I don't know crap about that. I've taken a few courses on it. Like I used to heavily use LinkedIn Learning, and now I don't really use LinkedIn Learning right now because I don't. I used to pay a lot of money. I used to pay like $30 a month or something like that, maybe $20 a month for LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn's advanced LinkedIn stuff that would tell you all kinds of stuff about like who's looking at your account and stuff like that. But I finally got to the impression that LinkedIn was sort of my enemy because I would go and I would tell people that I was going to have an interview, like on the direct messages, and then right before the interview, I'd start getting bombed with all kinds of crazy phone calls and stuff. And I was assuming that it was LinkedIn that was doing it, but now in retrospect, after hearing about like some of the dastardly deeds that um, I guess there's like these uh, enormous companies in India that like to interview Americans, and the whole idea is to make proof that there are no Americans that can do certain tasks. Um, and then so what happens is what they do is they will give you an interview and then they'll basically humiliate you in the interview. I don't think that's the purpose of the interview, but that's sort of the effect. They do is they say, "Hey, we want to interview with you." Well, I suspect that it was actually the interviewers that were bombing me with all kinds of crazy stuff right before the interview to try to knock me off my game. And I was thinking that it was um, um, uh, LinkedIn that was doing it. So that was the main reason I quit using the LinkedIn thing because I assumed that they were the ones that were selling my data. And now I'm like not sure about that, but I don't really plan to change jobs anytime soon. So okay, so basically what I want now is for this text here to be a little smaller and for this text and for there to be a little bit more spacing. And that's really all I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to update the style that was provided, the style sheets that were provided by this application. And I'm going to give this an ID. I think ID makes the best sense. Um, that is a funny thing because over the decades, I have seen things going from like sometimes the best practice is that every div, every single everything should have a unique ID. That used to be like something that people would say, and then it just basically was unfeasible. And then and then they got I've gone to other places where you're never ever 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 allowed to use ID, and that is kind of silly too because ID is a very good way to um, create a selector where you only do this. Now most places that are like enterprise environments won't don't try it. They generally they'll have a lot of different pop-ups and they'll want them all to look the same. So typically you wouldn't put like the types of styles that I'm doing in this file. What you would actually do is you would put it in a styles. There's if you hit Control P and type in styles, there's a styles SCSS, and this affects everything consistently. Now the problem with this file, most places, enterprise places that I ever worked, this file is a disaster. It's a uh, a Git. Oh my God, it's just absolute disaster. Every time you do a commit, you're likely going to have some sort of Git problem. And then also it applies to everything everywhere, so it can end up breaking things that it's not about. So you have to have some different sort of schemes for dealing with that. And I've seen some very, very good schemes out there. Typically, what I've seen work really well is they'll add another file in here and they'll call it like some name, consistent name. So you'll have this CSS and then you'll have another CSS which gets imported into into the styles directly. And that I found to be the best scheme for avoiding really, really bad Git conflicts. You'll still have Git conflicts in the styles, but they'll be pretty easy to resolve. You know, it's just like, oh, he's including this file and she's including that file, and they're trying to do the include on the same line. Okay, so let's just use both of them, and just put them on one of them on the next line. But anyways, so I have what was the name of that? So wait, that's wrong. Wasn't That's the wrong name. Warning message. Okay, so the name of this is the warning message. Let's just even add another dialog. You really want these to be as descriptive as possible because it can be very, very confusing. Uh, you know, it could take a lot of extra time to try to figure out um, what is what rules are attaching to what DOM elements. But so I have my warning message dialog, and basically inside of that, it's got an H3. Was it an H3? Heading 3? H2. H2. So this is what I'm looking at right there. Put that like that so it's a little easier to see. And come back over here, make this an H2. And in here, I want to make the font size a little bit smaller. Font size 15px. So this is a perfect example. Like if you have a lot of dialogues and you're trying to do this like in a professional way, you really don't want to target individual dial. You want to target all of them, and so this is not the file to do that in. Um, but so that's pretty good. Now we know we want the padding around this. I think we want the padding. It might be the margin, but I think we want the padding. Padding to be 5px. I usually just put some random number down because it's usually pretty easy to then go do the inspector, select what you care about, and then find the rule in the styles tab. And so then I always just push the button, the up down button, and you can just change the size and just kind of see what you like. So 28px is what I want. So I want 28px right now. My next one I could be like, oh, I want 30px. If that's what you wanted, if you want to be able to individually set the headings, but if you want all of them to look the same, then you probably don't. Oops, that was not supposed to be the padding. Now, I think that's still at 28px. That is, I kind of like my, um, like thing like this top of this curve to be up there. I don't know why. So I'm just gonna say 15 px. Let's see if that works. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better. Now, I think in one of my other pop-ups, I kind of center it. I'm not going to center it this time because I'm not that worried about it. And it looks like these links are probably still good links. So you click that, and this tells you. So now this is the privacy thing. Who knows if these two links would stay good. If this was going to be a professional sort of thing, and I would definitely advocate for Cypress to come in and set up a script that runs daily to just double check that these links are still good links. Um, but that is that. I think that looks good. I'm done with that piece of the work. Um, so I think all that's left at this point is going to be, um, oh, let's just double check that it works in continuous as well. Yeah, I would have been dumbfounded if it didn't. Um, so I think all, and basically the nice thing about this is like this button, this whole component knows its pop-up too, and it knows how to launch a dialog and everything. So that's a nice little pattern that I like. So I guess yeah, next will be like just to double check that everything still seems to work. I wish I had some Cypress scripts to run and just double check that everything works, but that and then I guess uh, I need to make a video, a how to use video, um, which shouldn't be more than 2 or 3 um, minutes long. It just shows all the different features of this and basically that they work, and then put it in the, I believe it used to be assets directory. I think if you're working on anything before Angular 17, this is probably by default called assets, but now they call it public. So I don't remember exactly when public started being the thing that's used, but so I'll put probably that movie inside of this directory and then make it to where when you click on this, it pops up a dialogue like this, but it gives you like a little video player that you can hit play and you can see how to use this thing. And then um, we'll, oh, but I can't do that. Actually, I can't do that. Okay. So yeah, let's make sure everything works and then commit everything and then do a distribute it, and then see if I can figure out how to set up a website at GitHub. I think it's pretty simple, and distribute this to GitHub, and then put a website at one of my websites, and put a link there, and then do the how-to video, and then put that inside of the public folder, and then um, redistribute again, and then kind of just tell people about it on LinkedIn, and then we're done. The project is over. And then there's 2 projects that I want to start up. One that I'll work on Saturdays, and one that I'll work on Sundays. And one is going to be a hopefully a fairly quick hit. Basically, it's going to be like say hello. So basically, like in here, it's going to use discrete. It's going to use the discrete API, and you would go like this. You would have a language uh, that you want to, and you will select like this, and then you'll um, say the word hello. So you'll have like whatever. Probably each language will be its own web page. Well, its own route, I guess is the way to say it. So it'll be like Russian, Japanese, blah 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 blah, or maybe Russian slash whatever, because they have different, like in here we have Spanish Mexico, and then there's Spanish Spain. There's English British, English US. So each one of those will probably be its own web page, um, and then or its own route, and then like a home page that has all of them, and then you would go like this, hola, and so then we would look to see that hola matched, that there was a match, and it would give you a little, tell you what the confidence is, which does not work at all in Edge. I believe it always returns a 0, but it would give you a confidence and whether you found a match. Let's try hola. Hola. So still a match. How about jola? Jola. So that's crazy. Let's try mola. Mola. Oh, actually, I was looking at the wrong. Oh, so it thought I said chola when I said hola. And it thought that there was a possibility of hola. I know one of what probably I think it's this is one of the most interesting ones in English. All right, so like if you click on that, you say this. It gives you like four responses. Uh, oh, oh, maybe it's sing. Maybe it's sing. I think it's sing. Sing. I got four responses, and it thought this. Now it used to come back with thing, thing in here. Oh, let's try thing. Maybe that was the really fun one. Thing. Okay, I'm pretty sure I said th on there, but see, it says thinks it's like 32% chance. So basically, if it shows up in this list, I would give it on Chrome. I will also show that. I think in Windows I'll show it, but it's always zero, like in Edge. Um, but that would be, I think, a fun thing. It's kind of crazy though, like that it actually. Well, it's so this is one of the things that changes a lot is how the order. So thing was 47%. So that one really should be the one that shows up in here, not this. But this shows the first one, which was a 32%. So the way these confidence come back from the API changes, there's all kinds of funny things. Um, so it used to be that the highest one was the first one. That was there was a point in time when that was the case. So this one was the highest, so it would be first. But then they changed it, and if that broke your application, this application, if you had an application that just assumed the first one was the highest one, and then you came back and you pointed your browser or whatever at this page, then you could uh, see, oh crap, okay, I need to go look for the highest one. But that would only be in it would only work in Edge. I mean, in Chrome, it wouldn't work in Edge. And that's what I'm saying. This is really a bleeding edge technology, not just from a legal perspective, but also from a technical perspective. It's very likely to break. Anyways, that's what we're up to. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.